Hey everyone, welcome to question 7 from the chapter 6 review. This one's going to be pretty short and sweet, so we want to state the domain and range of the tangent inverse of x. So the image that I have below this question is the graph of the tangent function. So what we remember about inverse functions is that the domain and the range essentially switch, or most of us might lead with the explanation of my x's and y's change places. So when you say this, it is saying the same thing as the domain becoming the range and the range becoming the domain, because the domain contains all of your x values or your input values, and your range contains all of your output values or your y values, depending on how you want to look at it. So maybe we can spend a little bit of time here and just think about the tangent of x. Okay, so we know that the domain is going to be, I can use anything and everything except for increments of pi halves. But if you remember, an inverse function needs to come from a one-to-one function. So we actually have to restrict everything. And we restricted our domain of our tangent function to just be between negative pi halves to positive pi halves, and we don't want to include those values, so that's why you're seeing us use parentheses here, because of those asymptotes that I had highlighted in that mint green and now have that pink covering on top of them. So then we can move on to range, and as we can see, our range, if we follow the blue line, we're actually going from negative infinity to positive infinity. So then if I'm concerned about finding out what the domain and range for the tangent inverse of x is, I'm actually pretty much done. We'll be done in like a matter of seconds. Feel free to time me on it if you want. So essentially the domain and range are just going to switch. So the domain of an inverse tangent function goes from negative infinity to positive infinity, and the range of the inverse is going to go from negative pi halves to positive pi halves. Again, I don't want them included, so that's why I'm using parentheses here. I hope that this explanation was helpful. If you do have any other questions, please let me know or provide any feedback either on WOMAP or on YouTube. Thanks.